Put on your therapy hats and let's take a look at how well these vampires converse and communicate. And if I was their therapist, what kind of tips and techniques would I be giving them?
Everyone, Nadja, Laszlo.
Yeah.
Yes?
Can you come downstairs for a second, please? Thank you, Laszlo. In your own time, Nadja. So, listen, we have received a letter, and I would like very much to read it to you. But not here. We want to go into the library.
Why not here?
I'd like to read it in there. It's just a formality.
It'll sound exactly the same if you read it here than if you read it in there.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but that's not the point.
So I love it. I think that Nandor already does a really great job at speaking what he wants and being very polite about it. You can see that Laszlo is a little bit offended by having to go into a separate room because he does not see the point to that. But everyone is taking their time to be able to share their thoughts, and they both seem to be hearing what the other person is saying. So far, I think that they've done a good job of getting their point across.
Just a formality, okay? Look, it's not even that far. Come on.
Keep this fine.
Thank you, Laszlo.
Okay, so even though Laszlo swears, he says, like, screw it, that's it, I'm going to be going into the other room, I'll go. But I love the way that Nandor took that. He took that with grace, and instead of, he could have started a fight with this, because this would have been a rational thing, well, an irrational thing to do when someone swears at you to get upset and frustrated, but instead he said, thank you so much for doing that, and allowed this to continue on.
It's just a formality, please, Nadja. Just a formality. Thank you. Guillermo, the doll. It wasn't so bad, was it? Now, before we go into the reading of the letter, I wanted to talk about general hygiene in the cell. Last night, there were all these people down there shouting and screaming, half drunk.
Well, where did they find the alcohol?
No, they were half drunk. They had been half drunk.
Oh.
Please, finish a whole victim before moving on to a next one, okay? It's very unhygienic.
So I think that another thing that Nandor does really well is his tone. His tone is very even, it's calm, it's not irate. It is very unhygienic to have half-drunk humans there sitting. I can understand how he would be upset about that, but he says it in a really nice way. And I think that when you are giving information or being critical to someone else and wanting something to be changed, the manner in which you present yourself will change everything. You come in really angry, really frustrated, really aggressive, then the other person is going to naturally get their guard up. And I think that Nandor, after, 500 years, I don't know how old he is, has really worked on being able to always be courteous and his ABCs. Always be classy.
I think I know who's leaving them down there, but I don't want to say.
If you've got something to say, then damn well say it.
So we have a little bit of snip there, though, right? He says, oh, I know who is leaving the bodies down there, but I don't want to say it. That was calling someone out, pointing a finger. So here we go. He loses a few points for this. And then, of course, what is Laszlo going to do? He's getting upset because he's being embarrassed in front of everyone else.
It's not hygienic!
How dare you?
Okay, so you shouldn't hiss. Hissing is a really bad thing to do in an argument. You are adding fuel to the fire and you're making the other person upset. So now they're no longer listening to each other. Their brains have gone limbic, and that means that they're not really thinking, they're just reacting. Even if you're emotionally being attacked, not physically, but what ends up happening is your brain ends up feeling like it's physically being attacked. And so you go through a fight or flight response.
Why don't we just write on them with marker pen with our names and the date?
Well, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Good idea, Nadja.
Okay, so Nadia calms them both down by giving her own little hiss, but then she also gives a really wonderful suggestion of putting marker pens just like we do with our food. Even after this heated discussion where they almost went to blows, they were able to say, you know what, that was actually a really great idea, and calm down. And in the matter of seconds, they've reached a resolution that everyone seems to agree with.
Marker pens, Guillermo.
Make sure they're permanent, Sharpie, the
Genius.
date as well.
Yes.
And
Great thinking, Nadja. And yes,
name
please.
of the month,
Yes.
day, year.
Okay.
So not only does Nandor compliment her and thank her for this suggestion, But then when she wants to express herself, he does stop talking. So that's the other part that happens in conversations is often two people are talking at the same time so no one's listening, which is amazing because then that deals with conflict resolution. So instead of saying just emotions and feelings that we feel, they're actually working towards a solution. And then when they find a solution, they're able to move on.
And now we come to the reading of the letter.
At last.
Guillermo, close the door.
Okay, so a little bit of frustration. I would say definitely if I was doing group therapy with them, please can you not groan or huff or roll your eyes or throw your head back or hitch your thigh. That makes the other person feel rushed and not heard. But Nandor takes it in stride. He just continues on with what he has to say, doesn't get stuck in the little tiny bits that we can always sometimes get stuck on, and he moves on, which I think he did a good job with that.
The door's closed, Master.
Close it more. The Baron is coming to visit us.
When is he coming, exactly?
Tomorrow.
Why didn't you give this to me earlier?
It arrived this morning, Master.
I would totally call out Nandor on how he treats Guillermo. I think that he is not as respectful as he can be. Even if someone works for you or is your familiar, you should still treat them with respect. And you should not be snatching things out of his hands or hissing at them. That's rude.
We should get a chariot led by 12 black alligators.
It's a lot of alligators, a lot of paint. What about a van?
A van? Can you at least make sure it's black?
Yeah, black van for tomorrow. Excellent.
See, I love that. I love it. They do such a good job at negotiating differences in opinions. People can get stuck on things. It happens all the time in group therapy that they want something and they're going to hold on to it because their ego needs that. And she wanted this like black alligators and he's like, oh, 12 alligators. It's a lot of alligators. It's a lot of paint. Can we do this? He makes the suggestion. Everyone listens. They're like, well, can we at least make it black? And they both make concessions so that they can do something. And they've solved this problem so much faster than usually it happens in real life. So that's what happens when people have been alive for a really long time. They work these things out.
Vampire only laughing.
Should we tell Colin Robinson?
Laszlo, that is a terrible idea. Don't ruin the evening.
What would ruin the evening? Are we having a house meeting?
No.
No.
So your gathering here is just a coincidence?
Yes.
My name is Colin Robinson, and I am what's known as a psychic vampire or energy vampire.
So they had a house meeting. They did not invite Colin. You know, he's an energy vampire. You can totally understand why they might not want to have him there. But this is going to cause a problem because he's not going to feel included and they're making a decision as a group. This would be a little bit of a hit on the group dynamics because now he's going to be even more frustrated and feel more left out.
Hi, Deb. Energy vampires drain people's energy merely by talking to them.
Actual versus budget year to date? No thanks. You're going to be at that all day.
So they should have invited Colin, but you can kind of understand why, because an energy vampire just kind of sucks the happiness out of the room. You may know one in your life. But altogether, I think they did really well. I would rate them like a 7.5. A little bit of the violence, the hissing, might have given them a little bit of a knock. You let me know, how well do you think that they communicate? Did they do a good job? And what would be your suggestions? Hopefully you like this video enough to subscribe and check out my next one.